So for saving the user data, what we have to do is to go to first. Let's see what we are going to do here. In our OTP screen here, where we are verifying the OTP, if everything is successful, the first thing that we want to do here is check database if the current user exists. So if it is successful, before we do this, we want to check if the user exists. This is number one. And then after we check that, the next thing is let's just copy this. The next thing, number two, we want to if we check here and we found that the user exists, we want to get user data from database. If we found that the user exists, so after we get user data from database, number three here, we want to save user data to shared preferences. So after we save the user data to shared preferences, we also want to save this user as signed in. Save this user as signed in. We'll save that in like a boolean, that this user is now signed in, so that later on when we restart the application, we'll check that boolean. And then only after that, then we are going to do this method down here. So this is number 4. And then number 5, we are going to navigate to home. So after we check that user exists, we get his data. After we get his data, we save the data locally. After we save the data locally, we also save that this user is signed in. And then afterwards, we go to home. If this user doesn't exist, that's when we go to, in the else statement, that's where we'll go to user information screen. So first of all, let's create this method of checking user data. Check database if user exists. So we can close these, the registration, the profile, and we can also close the constants. Then let's go to authentication provider. So maybe here we can create our method to check if the user exists. So for that, let's say maybe we should, with this should be a future method. So let's say future check user exists. Like that, and then let's just create our method now. This is going to be asynchronous, like that. Let's add the K here, and then here let's first get the document snapshot. Document snapshot is going to equal to await Firebase Firestore dot collection, and then we are checking into our users, which is a constant of users, and then document, which is our UID. And after that we get, so here we check if so here we are just checking into this document of users dot our UID. So we're just checking if our UID exists. Check user exist. Why are we having an error here? Let's put a small K. Okay, so if document, if this document snapshot, why is it refusing? If this document snapshot dot exist, which means we don't have a user, so we need to return something here. Let's return boolean. So if this document exists, which means we have a user, here we will return true. In the else, let's return false, like that. So this is our method to check if the user exists. Let's just add our comment. Check if user exists. So that's our first method there. So once we check if the user exists, the next thing that we're going to do is to get the user data. So let's create that method, get user data from Firestore. So here let's create a future method again, get user data from Firestore. Okay, so this method, let's it's going to be asynchronous as well. And then here let's await Firebase auth dot collection, actually Firebase Firestore dot collection. We have constants inside the users, and then here we have document, which is our UID, and then we get. So let's just move this down here. After we get then here we want to get the document snapshot, say document snapshot, then we are going to return it like that. And then here now let's update our user model on top there. So we're going to say user model will be equal to user model, like that. Let's come down like that. We format it a bit. Okay, so in the UID we're going to say document snapshot. Let's copy that. Document snapshot at a field called constants dot UID. That's going to be our UID, and then let's just copy all of this, paste here, paste here, paste here, paste here, paste here, paste here, paste here. Let's remove some extra commas. We know that this is a name, a profile pic, we have a phone, we have about me, last seen, date joined, is online. Let's just remove these extra commas. Okay, let's close it out, and then again here, this user. Okay, so maybe by the time we're getting user data from Firestore, we might not have this user here. So for that, let's just get it from our auth state. Firebase auth current user .uid. Let's have a now check. Let's have it here. And then here, let's now update our user model with the our user model here. We will say user model. This has to be a user model, like say user model dot UID. So we are updating our user model here. Let's have a now check here. Okay, so we're updating our user model on top with the new user model we're getting from here, and then afterwards we notify the changes, and then that's it. So here we are checking if user exists, and this is our method to get data from Firebase if the user exists. Then next, let's also create a method to save the user data to our shared preferences. So here, let's say store user data to shared preferences. So here, of course, it's a future method. Say save user data to shared pref, like that. Let's also add an async keyword. Here we're going to say shared preferences. Shared preferences will be equals to await shared preferences dot get instance. And then here, let's await our shared preferences, and then dot set string. So here we're going to set the string, and then we're going to set our value. So for a string, let's go back to our constants. Let's copy this. So for saving the user model data, let's name it as user model. Let's copy it and paste it here. We can close our constants. So here let's say constants dot user model. Then here we have to say JSON encode, and then we'll get our user model dot to map, our to map method, just like that. So this is how we are saving our data to our shared preferences. Now, since we are saving it, we also need to get the data from shared preferences. Let's copy this, paste it here. So here we'll say get user data from shared pref. So what we'll do here is down here, let's assign this to a string. String is going to be data, and then here it says shared preferences dot, we have to say get string. Then here let's remove this, since we are only getting a string here. So let's remove that, and then let's say if we don't have that, we'll return an empty string. And then let's also remove the await keyword here. So after we get this data, and then now we are going to assign our user model on top there, is going to be equal to our user model, not that. We're going to get our user model dot say user model, the from map method. So on the data, we are going to say again JSON decode, and then we'll put our data there. So let's also not assign our user ID on top there with this user model dot UID. Let's have a now check there. After we do that, and then we notify the changes. Okay, so in this video what we have done is we have checked if the user exists, and then we have also done the method for getting user data from Firebase, and then now we have also done the method of saving the user data and getting the user data. Let's just end this video right now, and then the next one will come to our OTP and implement all these methods here.